SANDE GOLGART. Our guest today is Shay Davis. Shay is an award-winning artist. He has devoted himself to developing a distinctive brand of futuristic surrealism. This style can be complex, occasionally austere, and often playful, and always purposeful. Your journey to realignment from fear to freedom starts now. Live an expansive life.
All right. Thank you very much for that beautiful intro, and welcome everybody. Great to be with you today with one of the shows I'm looking forward to probably the most. A dear friend of mine. I've known Shay for over 3 decades, and we've shared a lot of beautiful moments together, but he lives probably one of the most authentic and expansive lives of just about anybody that I know. So I am very much looking forward to allowing you all to gain some insights from Shay, his approach to life, and his commitment to his beautiful artwork that we'll share a little bit with you all. So before we begin, because we're all living, very fast lives, let's go ahead and settle in. We'll do 3 box breaths, make sure that we've fully arrived, and then we'll get started. Okay, so I'll go ahead and lead us. And we're going to simply take a 4 count of an inhale through the nose, hold for 4 seconds, and then exhale for a count of 8. And we'll do that 3 times. So let me go ahead and lead us here. Go ahead and inhale for 2, 3, 4, and then hold for 2, 3, 4, and then exhale 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Breath number 2, in, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, and exhale 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Last one, in for 1, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, and exhale 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And we have arrived. So with that, I want to welcome our special guest for the day, Shay Davis. Shay is an incredible artist, an incredible athlete, probably one of Jeffco's finest in the state of Colorado. Went on to play football at the University of Colorado. And Shay, I can remember back in college together at the University of Colorado when you would talk about life and you would say, the corporate world, that path's just not for you. You were going to find a way to kind of cut against the grain, figure out a way to let your artwork, your gift carry you, and find a way to live an expansive life doing that. Which reminds me of a quote from Picasso, where Picasso said that the meaning of life is to find your gift, and the purpose of life is to give that gift away. When you hear that and you reflect on kind of your approach to life, what comes up for you as you now look back over a couple 3 decades and think of the life that you've created for yourself?
Well, it definitely, I got the gift of having to do it. I am an artist, like, to the core, and I can look back and know that I've been that way since I was like 5. And so, as I get older and I'm in college, and what are you going to do? I have to do something art related. Once I kind of was getting hurt and had all these surgeries and the sports career was over, it was like, okay, now, but back then it's like, well, how do you just paint? Do you become a graphic designer? All I knew is I had to do something in the art world that was going to be my career. I just can't do the other route.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, it's so hard. It's so rewarding, and it's been a journey. And I just got to thank God that it's worked out, and we can get into how it's worked out.
Yeah.
But well, I can, and I was talking with my mom the other day, and I was like, you know, if I just, I guess we'll get into the God thing right now. When you have some kind of outside guidance, a God, people do their own thing, but mine would be God. And every time I pray and pray and pray, something has worked out over 20 years, because it gets to where it is a tough job, and it gets very stressful, and there'll be times when I'm running low, and every time in 20 years, every single time, it's like Matrix. Something has happened to keep the career going, and I just got to thank God that that's been the case. Because and I do it, I hustle, like, and that's part of the fun and the journey of this whole 30-year process has been the part that needs to be enjoyable, not, oh, when I get to here or when I have a big sold out show or blah blah blah. It's the journey that's
Yeah.
been incredible, and it constantly is changing. My artwork's changed. I was thinking about this the other night. I look at other artists as well, and I can look at someone's work, and this is just my opinion, and I can go, that's who they are. Like, so when I see, let's say, a older lady who just paints flowers, I can kind of tell what she's all about. And she's probably a nice, sweet lady who, and then I see people doing crazy stuff or other kind of artworks. And it's kind of, so when I look back, I can go, well, if you want to know who I am, look at my artwork.
Yeah.
So, and I've tried to, I guess one thing that has helped me with the more than anything would be growing up doing sports. Although I've learned over the 20 years that it doesn't really relate to art, because you can, some guy on Instagram can take a stick and put it into some paint and just throw it onto a canvas, and he's a millionaire. And I've seen it happen. But so it's not just having this discipline to get work done, do great work. You're self-employed, so you're doing it all on your own.
Sure.
And you really gotta, and I tell people this as well with art, you gotta have one, talent, God-given talent, two, the discipline, three, the luck. And probably the most important is self-discipline, to just constantly keep working toward that goal. And for me, it was in sports. It's like you go and shoot another 1,000 free throws. It's going to work. You do another, half hour after a practice to get that play that you were working on or move better. So I just had this innate drive to be the best that I could be myself in sports, and paid off pretty good. And then that transformed into my artwork. And so
Yeah.
I try to do what's inside of me, but then I also, over the years, it's like I want to do work that is appealing to the viewer. It also has a story. It's mechanically as perfect as I can get. And then, you got perspective, color, all this stuff that comes into play. And I try to make every work as good as I possibly can in my own being. And by doing that, the viewer has everything that I have to give. I
Right.
don't have anything left to give. I got it all. And that's what you get. And if
Yeah.
people don't like it, they don't like it. If they do, they do. But that's all I can do. Is in sports was probably the biggest part of that, to just be the very best I can be and put as much effort as I can in to whatever I'm doing, you know?
Yeah, sounds very much like Rick Rubin there. Just all your job is as the artist is to give it your all for yourself.
Yeah.
What people do with it is out of your control. And I think one of the traps that people get into that I see is when they're trying to manufacture and manipulate the audience into liking what they do and maybe selling out some of their creative instincts and selling out on some other aspects, trying to be liked. And I think that's the trap. So there's so much to unpack with what you already said. I want to kind of go back if we can, because you brought up a couple of things. One, an overall concept, which we talk about on the Expansive Life conversation a lot, which is moving through fear. And that fear is generally what keeps us in this program of doing what we think other people expect from us. And when you finished college, all the expectations on all of us were, if you're not playing professional sports, is join the corporate world. And you were one of the few that I knew who were just rejected that as that's the way the masses are moving. I'm going to San Diego. I'm going to surf. I'm going to explore this creative side. And I'm going to let what's inside of me come out and do that in a form of mastery where whatever I do, I'm going to show up 100% and I'm going to deliver the most masterful work that I can by pouring myself into it. And I've studied a lot about Dharma, which is like your calling. And Dharma is all about how you show up every day and not worrying about the outcome, worry about the mastery. So when you think back on that, it's no surprise to me that you said your best work comes on the other side of you sitting in silence and kind of praying for almost this surrendered approach that I'm going to continue to show up, but I need some help. And know and realize that it's not all up to you, but if you keep showing up every single day, fully present, fully committed to being a better master at your craft today than you were yesterday, and an even better master, of your craft tomorrow, then everything will work itself out. When you look back, can you kind of connect some of those dots for us on maybe some times when you felt like, man, this isn't working so much or as well as I want, but maybe then surrender, pray, whatever your process was, and then had something show up where it was an indicator that you're on the right path? Because one last topic that you brought up for me was, the book of St. Thomas says that when you finally release that which is within you, your most amazing life will unfold. But if you never let what's inside of you, your true talent, your true gift, who your true essence is, it will destroy you. And you had such an early start on just about everybody that I know for allowing what's inside of you. You knew, and you said at 5 years old, you were built to create. You were a creative person. You knew that the path to your best success was going to be through this creativity, which now hits the canvas as this beautiful art, like the painting you did for me behind me.
Yeah.
And you look back and think of any specific points in time where, you had to put fear aside, really surrender, and just focus on your mastery, and kind of how that worked out?
Yeah. Well, you said it right. You can't. And I guess I remember talking to people back in that college time. And I would remember talking to Matt Russell and saying, I just pray to God that if I can be, and it's so funny because now we're like a little older than 50, but I was like, when I'm 50, if I can just be a healthy athlete who still likes to do fun things and snowboard, and then be able to at least have this art job. Well, it's crazy. It worked. But you can't they always say that, be careful what you wish for. It might come true. Well, it does. If it's really deep in you and you can't just fake it, you just got to know, then it really does. I never asked for super wealth. I asked for this particular thing from a God, and I got it at 50. And that's what's happened. I didn't, I can look back and go, well, it could have been easier. It could have been more sale. It could have been, this or that. And I got exactly what I asked for. So I can't complain. I have to be grateful. And I am grateful. I always say it's like, even being a musician or something, you got to go play that same damn song, and you have to go travel to Red Rocks, and but you got all this, and I'm like, art's better. I can sit down by myself, do anything I want, and people buy it, and that's the best gift I could ever ask for. But I remember, and this is even a couple years ago, after I had quit drinking, and there was like a 3 or 4 month period where at night I just could not sleep because I was like so fearful about the future. And I hadn't had it that bad in the past, but I've had times over the last 20 years where it's just like, this is rough. But it's just prayer. And like you said, you have got to put in the work. You can't just sit back, and it works out. And I don't know what happened, but it has been a couple years where I finally just was like, somehow released that fear, and it still comes. And that's what I don't like. 'Cause I'm like, come on, it's been for 20 years, it's been tried and true, yet I still kind of worry. And it's like, nope, I need to, and so the fear part is you just got to know what you're doing and do it. And like I had said a minute ago about and it can be with anything. If you, in your head, you're talking to yourself and you really care, it works. You really are praying, it works. You really, 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 really want this to happen, it does. If you don't, it won't. And so it's just been an ups and downs of the fear, but man, the fear too, there's nothing, I guess I've done a lot of thinking. Does fear help? It can, but it hurts worse than it helps. It can motivate, but it really doesn't. It can motivate, but it doesn't help. And just if you gotta put in the work and put in the love and know that it's going to work out, and it usually does. And then, and then another thing would be like, there's been times, and I even took about a year where I did this series on some of the Western animals. I did them really loose, really more abstract, and they were quicker. I sold them all, but it wasn't the effort that I want to put into my work, the detail, the story. They didn't have stories. They were just, and so I was like, well, I wind up just getting back to this style of surrealism and doing exactly what's in my heart. And it's good stuff, but it's not for everybody. I'm not going to be selling like the person that does flowers. It just is the way it is. And so my artwork is for a lot smaller audience, but that's the path that I am on, and that's what I'm going to continue doing.
I think that's where Rick Rubin would say, like, the art is for the artist, right? You create what you create for yourself, giving it your all. What the audience does with it, totally out of your control, but that's the gift, that you give them. Mm-hmm. And let's give some context to those tuning in. If you want to see some of these beautiful works, Shay did this painting here behind me, the Einstein painting, which we'll talk a little bit more about Einstein. But you can go to shayvision.com. That's Shay, SHAY, vision, all one word, .com. And you'll see this surrealism, these works. And from a perspective of some level, some gauge of success, aside from you just letting what's inside of you come out, I think it's amazing for people to know and understand the types of people your audience what makes up your audience. I think Halle Berry has one of your paintings hanging in her house. There's definitely, professional athletes who have, your works. Can you talk a little bit about, some of those people who have purchased? I know you sold a bunch in Jackson Hole to some musicians, but you have an amazing audience that is starting to circle around and buy up your art and also tap you for commissions. Oh, cool. Uh, yeah, it looks like you have him offline, Jason. I see him. There you go.
Am I back?
Okay, you're back.
Okay, cool. What was I saying?
You said the Allman Brothers.
Oh yeah, and that was a show out in New York. I'm getting a weird
Yeah.
background noise.
Jason, we got a big echo. Try again.
Okay. Nope. Still. Is that better? I put in a.
I think that's better.
Okay, and yeah, the crowd it's very weird. I'll have people buy artwork that I would never think that they would like this funky stuff, and they do. And then other people that I'm thinking would love it, and they don't. But I guess it's everybody. Younger to older. It's weird. I it's hard to pinpoint down what people like my stuff and people that don't. I will say though that it's kind of more of the eclectic crowd. Like I was in a show up in Great Falls a couple years ago, a Western show, and like the first day, everyone that came in, I knew when they walked in, no one's going to buy anything just by how they looked. And so, yeah. And so I'm like, and then this one couple walked in and they were all like dressed all funky and stuff. They bought something. It is sometimes easy to tell who will buy it and who won't, but like you said, I do it for me because I keep coming back to just doing what comes out of me. And I know it's not the easiest route. I could go paint flowers, but no, I got to stick to my guns, and it's paid off, but it's worth it. And I'll tell you what, Sandy, like when I'm actually like painting, and I'm about to start this new commission like this week coming up, and I can't wait. I'm so excited to do it. And I wouldn't be if it wasn't doing exactly what I want.
Of course.
And
Yeah.
so it's like Jen and I will talk about the work that we do, and she's like a lot of these people, they don't love doing what they're doing but it's making them money. They got to pay the bill, and some of these artists aren't doing what's in their heart. They're doing it for the paycheck, and they're not ecstatically happy about it. So it's not like they're like dancing around cheering. But it's like Rick Rubin said, I just got to stick to what I'm doing, and it's so weird, Sandy. It comes. Let's talk about this. And I know we had talked on the phone about the simulation. Well, we have no idea what we're going to be talking about or thinking in the next 30 seconds. It's coming to you from outside of you. That's why I really think that there's something to that simulation. But stuff will pop into my head. I didn't ask for it. It just pops in there. And that's where I get most of my ideas. It's from outside of me. And then from that, I can render that idea. It could take a day. I can spend 10 hours straight. Oh my God, that is cool. Let's start with that. And then just start having that idea and rendering it into a project, then into a painting. And but it all comes from a thought, and it's outside of me.
Right.
And I want it. That would be God. That would be your other self. I don't know. I sometimes, and sometimes it's God, because I this is kind of cool. I think when people, and we go back to talking about when you're really like deep inside yourself, thinking about truths and like what you want and blah blah blah. Well, if you really listen, you can hear the voice of God, and you get to know God. Then it's easy, and you can understand your other selves when you're talking to yourself. Like, who are you talking to when you're talking to yourself? Talking to
Yeah.
you, you know. And
Sure.
what about the left shoulder, the right shoulder? I deal with those two guys. And so you got to trust yourself and really listen to the outside sources, and they'll direct you. And so, but then from that, like I said before, then the work starts. You got to put in the work, but you can get those things from outside. And so when I just life in general, it's like, I think, and it's like, this enhances a belief in God, I would think. It's funny, like when people say like God knows everything you do, and it's like, well, if it's just like this, if it's got to be an energy, it's got to be a bigger than everything. And then let's say you throw it into like a simulation thing. Well, now it's all like life is coding, life is recorded. It's Everything can be known now, and that just makes things easier. But anyway, I think that stuff comes from outside of you, and that's what gives me my power to do these things, is
So interesting.
outside of me.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. I got a little cough that just showed up, but I'll try to power through it. But what you're describing reminds me back to Einstein, and he had very similar things, right? Like when he was alone in silence, he was getting these conversations, and it was showing him what it was like to ride on the front end of a light wave as it travels through space. Where else would he get that information?
He didn't
But
come up with it.
that how would he know what it's like to travel through space? He
It
wouldn't.
couldn't. No.
But something was telling him, look at this. As light travels through space, it actually bends when it goes around planets. And he started to develop his theories about the fabric of the universe, how light is affected by gravity. And it was all dispelling previous science theories. And it took him 2 solar eclipses before they could capture a light wave that was actually bending around the eclipse. And he had it to like the thousandth, decimal point accurate. But that just kind of proves that when we sit in silence, what we need is all around us. It's
Mhm.
there if you want to listen, but you can't just, follow the normal path. And you have to be open to hearing what's there, seeing what's there. And that's when people talk about awareness, it's exactly what they're talking about. It's just being aware of the infinite, unbelievable amount of information that's available to you, that when it strikes you and you're inspired, that's the time to take action.
Mhm.
On this show, a lot of the times, I'll talk about my mission, and I think anybody that's tuning in, if we asked throughout all the Western world, potentially the entire world, they would say their number one priority is their health. Number two would be relationships. Number three, wealth. That's the way we would verbalize what's most important to us in life, because without your health, nothing else matters.
Yeah.
But if you look at our actions, generally we're acting in a way where we're chasing wealth, or we're chasing likes, we're chasing acceptance out of fear, at the expense of our health and at the expense of our relationships. And it's my mission, as being termed a results architect, is to help people dissolve some of these illusions that they have to go chase. They have to work hard to be appreciated, work hard to be liked, at the expense, of their health and their relationships. And all of that information then becomes downloadable to me to really help myself understand the way to prioritize, the way to practice, and ultimately the way to integrate what's going on in life and how we relate to people and circumstances to allow ourselves to set ourselves free, so you can go live the most expansive life doing what you love to do. And then know on the backside of that, if your intention is to bring in massive amounts of wealth or whatever degree of wealth, that will follow by setting yourself up and designing your life accordingly. Because wealth does not just have to mean money. It can mean freedom, the ability to do what you want, when you want, with minimal effort. It can mean a lot of things if you really sit with it. But a lot of people just don't take the time to sit and really realize and understand what would the ultimate wealth be for me, and then know that you can go create that in your life, much the way that you have.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, look at it this way too. I like to go, and I've thought about this forever too. I like to get things that you can't buy. You can't buy going down 2 feet of powder unless you put in the work to get that good. You can be a billionaire and go to Vail and have an instructor, and you're not going to be able to do it. You can be a billionaire and pay all the money you want, but if you don't put in the effort, you're never getting yoked. It's right. You're never surfing a barrel. I love doing things that you cannot buy. I love it. And so, doing a master painting, you can't buy it. You gotta have that gift from God. Thank God I got it, and the creative gift, and then you got to put in the work. And it's real important to me to have things that you can't buy, because it's like a cheat. It's a flex,
Is a gift we all have, and really it's just a decision, and that is happiness, right? You can't buy it. You can be a billionaire and not be happy. There's many of them, but it's really a decision. You're back, yeah.
Okay. You both of us have met wealthy people. And I study. The last 20. I study people like crazy, how they behave, like what they are. They have, just to get insights on different people in different aspects of life. And these really, really, really rich dudes. I know one. It's from one of my ex's best friend's husband. He's big Wells Fargo. He has like $200 million. He's the only one I've met that's like congenitally happy. Everyone else is still chasing, that I've met, who's got extreme wealth. And I'm like, you're doing it wrong, buddy. So
I think we have to be careful with the word wrong, right? Like there is what I've learned most, especially through yoga life and others, is that there is no right or wrong. There's just consequences.
Mm-hmm.
But the consequences of chasing, and it reminds me of a poem that Rumi wrote, which is, when I chase what I think I want, my life becomes a furnace of stress and anxiety. But when I sit in silence, I realize that what I want also wants me. It's looking for me, and it'll find me.
Mm-hmm.
And that was one of the things I read that just kind of made my heart pulse and made me realize, like, I really need to figure that out. I need to find a way to grasp that, practice it, integrate it, and not just know that quote, but understand exactly what it means. And I've realized that most all of my best ideas, my happiness, the way I relate to things comes from when I'm alone and in silence. and just paying attention with great awareness to what's going on around me and realizing that the amazing life is happening right now. I have
Oh,
no suffering that's happening between where I'm at right now and anything I want to happen in the future. But most people suffer because the way their life is going right now, they think that's not the way I want it. I want more money. I want a bigger yacht. I want a private airplane, but they don't have it. So it creates this suffering between where they're at in the present and this future. And then it creates fear because the way they relate with time and space is they realize, oh man, the time is running out. I gotta go do. And now they're chasing and they're creating that furnace of stress and anxiety.
that's probably the coolest thing I've heard all week, Andy. And you're right. Um, well, look at it this way. Like, let's talk about basketball. When you're in the zone and you put up 30 points, it's just fluid and it comes to you. When you scored 4 points and you're doing turnovers because you're forcing everything, it doesn't work. Like it's like in life. You do kind of have to go with the flow. And like what you said about being in the present, I've learned that a lot, probably since not drinking. The like 24 hours. Like I even bring it down to. I try to bring it down to the minute. Like we can't control what happened a day ago or a day from now. And what you just said, everything should be all about what is happening right this second. It is hard though because we do have to think about, oh, I got to pay this, I got to do this tomorrow, I have that thing to do, I have that. But really, if you can try to, and I have trouble doing it, but you're right. When I'm in like the present moment and not thinking about outside stuff, future, past, it's incredible.
Right.
But it's not easy. It's hard work.
Yeah. I mean, the whole premise around suffering is being when you're in a situation and you wish the situation was different. The problem is the situation is exactly what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Your inability to relate to it. Like right now, right? If we kind of play around with this, I wish there wasn't an echo going on.
Right.
I could get super frustrated right now and like tense up and start sweating. The reality is there's an echo. I have no idea why it's there. I wish it wasn't, but it's there. So we just go through it. And the only thing that would cause me to start sweating or, be miserable and suffer would be if I was disconnected to the way things are. We have an echo. It's there. We'll work through it. Like if there was something I could do about it, I would. But you just have to be really grounded in the way things are, and they can't be any different because they're not. And when
Yeah.
you really get grounded in that, and you really become present with exactly the way the situation is, only from that place can you then create a different future by managing the way you think, the way you feel, and then your patterns the way you start showing up in the present starts to shape and create a whole different trajectory for you moving forward. And that's what I do in my practice, in helping people create the life they really want, live more expansively, move fear to the side. The number one thing is really being present. And I love seeing this aha moment when people really get this, when they really tune into it, because it sounds so simple. They're like, yeah, I get present. Like, I know, but I want it different.
Yeah.
um, but when they really kind of sit with it and they realize this is exactly the way things are, wow, I can start to now have gratitude and really appreciate the way my life is. This is the amazing life. Quiet things down, and then you start seeing there's so much opportunity all around you because you're being present, because you're paying attention, because you're breathing, because you're allowing yourself to live right now, not hold your breath and grab the steering wheel and wanting to control the way everything's going. That's the recipe for creating dis-ease in your life, where you'll start to create inflammation in the body, incubate disease, start to behave and be unhealthy. Your relationships will suffer, everything will suffer until you realize the power of the now, right? Like Eckhart Tolle made a massive career out of just telling people the power of right now is everything. And if you understand that, you can create and co-create the most amazing life moving forward.
That's well said. And then I'll just add something to that too. When things aren't going your way, um, over the years lately, I've tried to been like everything that has gone bad, use that as a learning tool, as just part of your story, because we got to learn from everything as well. And I've tried to look at my downfalls lately as just a learning experience. Somebody pimps you, it's a learning experience. Do it different next time. This didn't happen. Oh, the easels failed. We got best award in the whole world for art, like in the Germany trade show, like best award in the world, and failed. It's like move on to the next,
Right.
and just put it in the past, slap the wrist, walk away. Napoleon Dynamite.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's such a beautiful topic, to explore how important it is to just be present, be alive, and recognize. I went 52 years of my life without really appreciating and learning to appreciate how amazing it is that we just have oxygen hanging on our lips, when we wake up. The moment I started to just appreciate that, my view of the external world started to change and shift dramatically. And what I realized is a lot of the things that I wanted or I thought that I wanted, and the way or the process in which I wanted them to unfold, had they unfolded that way, I would have never learned all of the amazing lessons that have allowed me to create incredible vertical alignment to get to a place where I can now impact the lives of millions of people, because it would have been easy. And when it's easy, there is no need to reflect. There's no need to see, like, what is here? Why am I making this so hard? What's so hard in it? And if I'm fighting that, if I'm suffering through it and not just seeing it for what it is, I'm missing all the lessons, all the things about me that I need to learn internally. So you can have situations in your life, right, with people, with circumstances where, let's say a person is acting a certain way. Let's say they're making up stories about you. They're lying. They're sharing a bunch of things, and you get so frustrated because you're like, oh my gosh, this is not true, and you decide I'm going to fight all of this, instead of just sitting back and learning, what they teach in Buddhism, which is the person who learns to do nothing eventually learns to do everything. And as you sit with that, what I've learned that and what that means to me, and I've learned it has meant to me, is when I sit back and resist the need to react, I now start to pay attention to what's going on. And I can see that person who might be off saying things about you, or, that's their reality. The way they're relating to you is causing them, out of fear, a lack of love, something going on in their own life, to act a certain way. And that's where they might be stuck. And it allows me to sit back and really develop compassion for that person and say, this person is hurting so bad that they need to go off and say whatever they need to say, go off and do what they need to do. And I no longer have any kind of feeling towards that, no judgment, no hate. It's just they are being themselves. It has nothing to do with me. It's the way that I'm acting, or my actions or my being is creating something for them. It's a mirror for them. And then they see it and they realize they don't like something about themselves, so they have to lash out about it. And I don't know if that fully translates to everybody, tuning in. But if you can just resist this notion, this feeling, which is fear, that makes you want to react to something, and just allow yourself to sit with it, what you'll find is there are millions of lessons right there that are for you to take internally as to why you would be triggered, why you would feel the need to react, why you would feel this unnecessary need to go and do something, when all you really need to do is just sit there, realize what is it about this situation that has me feeling a level of unease, so that I can learn from it, I can ascend, create more alignment, and flow, like Michael Singer would talk about, just be in flow like the river, and allow everything to just happen. You don't need to control anything. You can then further surrender and realize amazing things are coming. It's your job to allow them to start coming.
Yeah, going off of what you were saying about, I still have trouble. I snap at people, and
And we're all human.
I know,
Yeah.
and so, but what I've thought about is what you said was exactly right. Some of these people that are doing these things, or that are so angry and this and that, it's like they're not sitting around giving each other high fives and like going, "We got them," you know. That they're miserable people, and so, like you said, I'm trying to find compassion for everybody, and we've got to figure this out. It's just a shit show in this world right now. We've got to get it together as a society. But as far as, I guess, when we were talking right before the podcast, and in this involves everything. If you feel good physically, it makes it so much better. And we were talking about how hardly it's just all the junk food and the processed, and it's like, I just have a feeling, that people are just so unhappy because of how they feel physically. And I just, for me, in the last couple years, really focusing on my health and trying to put good things in my body, it's been, I just want to express to people how important it is and how much happier you're going to be if you put good things in your body and you feel good physically. Then that flow is way easier. But like when we were talking about that, if you just feel like you have the flu all the time, that mindset, you're thinking about that. Your whole day is thinking about how bad you feel. How are you going to let greatness come in and out of your brain? And we just think, God, that's the baseline. We've got to get a healthy society to make things work more efficient.
Yeah, I agree. I think, one of those really big concepts there is the idea of gratitude. And I think when you are grateful for the body and the physical life that you've been given, the best way to show that is to feed and nurture it with the essentials for taking care of your body. And generally, what I've found through years of studying all of this is, for people who have a difficult time, and I have a massive amount of compassion for people who do have a difficult time with this, because it can feel very hard to take great care of your body. But generally, there's one element that you can address, and it will help you dissolve the illusion that it's hard to take care of your body, to take care of any kinds of addictions and others, and that is when you're judging yourself. So a lot of times, from whatever traumas we've gone through as kids, whatever things we've learned, we've developed this notion of right or wrong. And we feel like I'm bad or I'm wrong when I'm not doing what has been shown to me to be right. So I start judging myself. As I judge myself, I need to pacify myself. And that comes from overeating, it comes from pleasures, and then that leads to addictions. So that's stemming from judgment. If you are struggling and you're listening in, with anything, and it can fill in the blank. It could be cocaine, it could be porn, it could be just eating bad junk food, any number of things that you're addicted to is generally coming from a baseline where you're judging yourself and you don't like that. And then you don't like that part of you because you think you're wrong. One of the most beautiful things that I've learned over the past couple of years is there's nothing wrong with any of us. We're human. We're designed to be beautifully flawed, and we're all going to make mistakes. We all mess up. But to the extent that we then judge ourselves for the things that we've done, we then start to create this sort of vicious cycle. And when you realize I can just let go of all of it, I'm a human being. I'm designed to mess up. I'm designed to then learn from the things that I've done, the consequences, and just apply them. But we're so busy passing judgment, hating on things to make ourselves feel better because we're operating out of fear, that's what creates this discord, in society. And if we're going to fix society, we need to not think about it as this external thing. We need to think about it as ourselves. The moment I address and dissolve any notion that there's anything wrong with me, I start to see the world different. And the same exact world becomes this amazing place filled with miracles, not this thing of where everyone is doing everything wrong, because everyone is just simply being, and every human on this planet is doing the best they can with the level of awareness they have. And some may not have a tremendous amount of awareness for what's going on, and that's totally okay. They're just doing the best job that they can. And the moment I started to really embrace that, I started to not have problems with anybody. Any way that people are acting, anything that people are doing, whatever people are saying, and all of these things that used to trigger me because I felt like my way of thinking, my reality was right, started to dissolve. And I started to see the world as, this is a really cool thing, to a perspective I think that has helped me, is there are roughly 8 billion people, right, on this planet. That means that from 8 billion different perspectives, there are 8 billion different realities. Well, how is your reality better than 8 billion other people's reality? It's not. It's just your perspective. It's just your reality. So the moment I started dissolving all of that and not feeling this need to be right, not feel this need to defend the way I feel, but become passionately curious, lean into the idea that I don't know. Let me find out. I don't know. Let me explore that further. I started to really embrace the idea that things could be a lot different. Let me go look and see how I could better myself. And that led me, to being, I've probably done 1,000 different biohacks just to see what works best for me, and not judge what I've done in the past, not judge what anybody else does for their life. Just know they're trying their best with the level of awareness they have full compassion and love for every human being. And it makes, all of a sudden, the world is this amazing place. And if we can get, as more and more people catch on to that, we'll realize that none of us have any problems. We just have the illusion of problems that we can dissolve by dissolving our perspectives and our identities and the things that we think we're supposed to do. I think, Jason, it's when you switch back and forth. When he pops up, it changes and the echoes back. All right, Shay, you're back.
Okay. The cheat code, I tried and be nice to everybody. Like you were saying, open the door for a old lady, put her groceries in the car. Like, tell someone their dress is cool, their hair is cool. And if everyone starts doing that, it'll be infectious. The energy will change, and it's going to make you feel better when you do good things for people. The littlest things make you feel better, and it makes their day. And
Absolutely.
it's something I've been trying to like really focus on, is just doing something, like say something nice to somebody.
Yeah.
Like every interaction, every single time I go to the store, I bring blades so people can pet him and they love him down there.
Yeah.
Like it's like zombies in there, and then it's like their faces glow up with like joy if you tell them their hairdo's cool, or they get to see dog. And so it's just little things that you can do throughout the day that are going to make your life better, someone else's life better, and society's better.
Yes. So here's really cool. It's a little bit out there, but if people can grasp this, and this also comes from Einstein, is the idea of the quantum field and this quantum fabric of space.
We got to get into that next time.
Quantum entanglement. The ripple effect that you can create by simply being nice to someone. Think about that.
Mm-hmm.
They feel better when they get home. Maybe they pet their dog and have more love for their dog. Maybe they have more compassion for their kids, their spouse, their neighbor. That ripple effect can travel all the way through the universe.
Mm-hmm.
And you start just by one act of kindness, start multiplying that, and then watch that fabric and that quantum entanglement. And then think of the people where you've been judging, potentially hating, and just shine, light on them. You'll also see them start to change, right? So they talk about, don't expect your environment or landscape to change. Change the eyes in which you see the same thing, and your whole world will change. That too will bring more light to yourself. People will feel that through your heart coherence, and they will start to act different because you're not signaling to them that there's anything wrong with them, which there isn't. There's nothing wrong with any of us. And the more we can hold space for people and help them realize that, the better, everyone is going to be. I think actually for the masculine, I can only speak for that because being a guy, I think our number one job on this planet is to free ourselves so much that we are able to find a feminine energy partner, and we can allow them to feel nothing but completely safe and secure in being exactly who they are, never signaling that there's a need to change, to do anything different. And from there, the masculine and the feminine come together and do this, amazing dance where you can actually now start to manifest anything you want and co-create an unbelievably beautiful life. I do want to open it up for any questions. If anyone has anything in the chat, I think you've heard enough from Shay to realize he's one of the most authentic living beings. If you have a question for him about his art, how he started.
And we haven't even got into crazy shit.
I know. We'll have to do another follow-up episode because we're running, a little low on time. But if anyone has any questions, I definitely want to open it up for that. And then I want to open it up too for you, Shay, on any kind of closing remarks you might have and how people can find you.
Okay. D West in there?
Yeah. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, dude.
Any kind of closing thoughts, conclusions?
I would just tell people, find your purpose and go after it 100%. I mean, shit. If it's a job you don't like and you really want to play the piano, find a way. If you want to take care of dogs and open up a dog rescue and that's been your passion and you haven't done it, you got to do it. Put everything into being the best person you can be, and keep your mind open, find God, and put good stuff in your body. Seriously.
I love it.
Those things are key. All that right there.
Yeah.
And shayvision.com, or I guess this is playing on Facebook and Instagram. if anyone's on here, they probably know my page,
Yeah.
Facebook, but shayvision.com.
And it's Shay Vision on Instagram as well.
Yeah, just Shay Vision Artist is on Instagram, and then Shay Vision / Facebook is the is for Facebook. And yeah, for all your art needs, I'm always wanting to do new projects. And we could get into the bikes next time. I love doing these bikes lately. It's so much fun.
Yeah.
And I don't know why. No reason why. There's no reason why. It's just one of the most fun things ever, and probably no one cares, but I think it's cool.
Yeah. Well, this topic has been top of mind for me for like the past 5 years, and I studied the Bhagavad Gita for a long time, which is really kind of an Eastern practice for finding your purpose, finding your calling, and how you go about that. And it's really paying attention to the things that light you up and then showing up 100% every day in the present. And if you do that, it will lead you back to what's inside of you, who you really are, your most true, authentic self, and then creating a path forward where that comes out of you. And they've studied, Gandhi, too many people, to list, but as I've followed their lives, you can see as they followed that, once that came out of them, their lives changed significantly. And there's a path for that. And it's just as simple as there's nothing to be afraid of. There's only promotions and protection being offered to you. Just show up. Show up fully without fear. Follow your enthusiasm, what you think is fun, what lights you up. Try not to act just for the sake of acting, for being busy.
Act. That's exactly what I was waiting for you to say. Don't act. Be your authentic self, people. And if you don't like that, pray to God that he'll change you. But find the self that you like that's legit and be it. Don't fake. Don't lie. Don't fake. Don't act like you love the Broncos when you don't. Like, people acting. Don't act. Be, So.
Well, I knew this was going to be a really fun hour. We had, technical challenges, other challenges, but it's always a pleasure talking to you. Thank you for sharing, your wisdom, your insights, and also your time.
Man, you were great. That was awesome. You did good.
Thank you.
So,
all right. Well, thank you everyone for tuning in. I'm excited. Next week on Tuesday, I have Robert Hamilton Owens, one of the most amazing guys you'll ever meet.
Is he that Formula One driver? No.
He is not. He is a 70-plus-year-old. He's done over 12 Ironman. He rode the transatlantic path in a rowboat, rowed across the Atlantic Ocean.
Dang.
Through unbelievable weather stories. He ran 7 different marathons in 7 consecutive days in 7 different countries. Just a phenomenal being, but he's going to join. Talk about someone who lives an expansive life.
Yeah.
He'll be with us next Tuesday. I hope everyone can join us. It's going to be a fascinating show. Until then, I'm wishing everybody the most expansive life with no fear. And as always, you can reach out to me at sandegolgart.com, on LinkedIn at Sandy Golgart, or on Instagram at Sandy Golgart. So with that, thank you everybody for your time. Have an amazing week, and we'll see you next Tuesday.
Thanks, everybody. Peace.
Thanks for watching an Expansive Life Conversation. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.